Incredible twist, homeless teen transformed lives by guiding blind billionaire's daughter home. Dark clouds loomed over Chicago, but the real storm brewed in Alex's chest as he ventured through the alleys where hope felt like a distant whisper. At 17, he was more than just a homeless teen, he was the embodiment of resilience forged by his mother's unwavering belief in his potential. Today, the gnawing hunger clawing at his insides felt like a taunting echo. A missed meal could spiral into despair, something he couldn't afford. His street smarts guided him through the city's gritty corners, but tonight, survival danced agonizingly close to desperation that he rounded a corner and froze. A soft whimper broke through the city's noise. Curiosity transformed into concern as he spotted her Lily, a blind girl standing alone, her delicate frame trembling with uncertainty. The charity gala just blocks away shimmered with the warmth of wealth and laughter, but here, lost in shadows, was a girl who belonged to that world. In an instant, he was faced with a decision that unraveled his tightly wound sense of purpose. Did he dare step into her life, risking his own precarious existence for someone who could never envision the darkness that encased him? He hesitated briefly. The streets of Chicago were rife with danger, and yet, what choice did he have? His mother's voice echoed in his mind, "You show kindness, even when the world claws at you." Gritting his teeth, he approached, even as dread pooled in his stomach. "Hey, are you lost?" The words felt heavy, like weights sinking into murky waters. Her startled response twisted something deep within him, stirring an internal battle between self-preservation and the undeniable urge to help. Their journey through bustling sidewalks and dodgy alleys unfolded layers of complexity. Lily shared her burden's pressures of perfection and expectations that suffocated her spirit. He listened, feeling a strange kinship across the chasm of their worlds. Yet, beneath the surface, his own frustration simmered. Torn between wanting to bridge the divide and fearing judgment for who he was, a nobody, a street kid, the weight of her reality became a mirror reflecting his struggles. He saw the expectations of his mother loom over him, demanding he rise above the status quo. But could he? Before we continue, I need to tell you about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, click the bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can leave a like, it really helps with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. As night fell, the echoes of laughter from the gala faded, replaced by the sinister whispers of dangers lurking around them. A gang loomed on the street corner, their hardened faces radiating malice. Anxiety twisted in Alex's gut, escalating like an approaching storm. Protective instincts kicked in, yet fear clawed at him, urging him to run. Could he let fear betray his mother's teachings? In a surge of courage, he stepped between Lily and the looming threat, heart racing, but in the throes of protecting her, he sensed the unthinkable, a revelation so profound it rattled his very identity. A spark ignited between them, revealing a connection tied not only by circumstance but by blood. The truth was a dizzying plunge into a legacy he never fathomed, tearing apart his understanding of where he belonged. The weight of it threatened to bury him beneath societal prejudice, yet something unyielding sparked within him a determination to face this whirlwind together. Even as their lives hung in precarious balance, Alex and Lily stood at the precipice of desperate understanding, clinging to each other as the shadows of their worlds intertwined. The dawn felt distant, but with each breath, they were drawn closer. To truths that could upend everything they thought they knew. Would they seize this moment, or would it lead them both deeper into the chaos threatening to consume them? The answer lingered, pulsating with unanswered questions, hanging on the edge of a precarious night. The adrenaline of the encounter with the gang faded, leaving a hollow ache in Alex's stomach. He had faced many dangers in the streets, sharp words, violence, isolation, but this felt different. It was as if the confrontation had ripped open old scars, exposing vulnerabilities he wasn't sure he could bear. Lily was still beside him, her breath shaky as she stepped closer, seeking warmth from his presence. "Are you okay?" he asked, the question escaping him before he could reconsider it. She turned her head slightly, her unseeing eyes searching his face. "I think so," she replied softly, though her voice quivered. You protected me." The weight of her gratitude clashed with the uncertainty brewing inside him. Could he truly protect her? He was a teenage boy, not a hero. He felt ashamed, overwhelmed by the specter of his past. His life had been marked by survival instincts, not valor. "I had to," he said, more to convince himself than her. "Just, stay close." As they continued walking, the city around them pulsed with life, an unyielding contrast to their plight. Neon lights flickered overhead, reflecting the chaos they had narrowly escaped. But even in the midst of the city's heartbeat, Alex wrestled with his mind, each thought a duel between confidence and self-doubt. The truth of their connection loomed like an untamed tempest. What he had felt when she reached out, the flicker of recognition, was unlike anything he'd ever experienced. It challenged all his preconceived notions about identity and worth. The desire to know more about who he really was alongside Lily's life made his heart race. "Alex?" Lily broke into his thoughts, her voice steadying him. "Can I ask you something?" "Sure. Anything. Why did you help me? I mean, you could have easily walked past. Why take that risk?" Her inquiry was laced with both curiosity and concern. His instinct was to brush it off. To say it was merely a reflex, a shadow of his mother's teachings that crammed themselves into his decisions. But the truth engulfed him. "I don't know, I guess I see you. I know what it feels to be lost. I think we both understand that." The way her brow furrowed reflected that she was processing his words differently. "Do you think we can ever find our way out?" Her question hung in the air, a heavy fog. Did he dare believe that they could escape their circumstances? That he could break the chains of his past, and belong to something greater? "We have to try," he replied firmly, though doubt crept in again, whispering warnings of their differing worlds. "Then let us keep moving," she asserted, a spark of determination igniting within her fragile frame. It resonated within him, her fight igniting dormant embers of hope. Their journey continued, their footsteps crunching over shattered glass and scattered debris, each step a motion towards something unknown but necessary. Suddenly, he glimpsed a flicker of chance, a glimmer of opportunity as they approached the light spilling from a diner, warm and inviting. It screamed of safety and normalcy, but would it open doors or confirm their fears? Alex turned towards Lily, meeting her blind gaze filled with unwavering expectation. They could retreat to safety or take a leap into the unknown. Decisions spread before him like alleyways in the dark, and he faced the echoing truth: the way forward could only lead to one thing. "We can't walk away from this," he said with determination, pulling her closer, heart racing as new revelations intertwined with their decisions. "We have to face whatever comes next." But little did they know, lurking just beyond the diner's threshold was a figure from his past, one whose presence could unravel both their lives even further. Would they manage to confront the echoes of his history, or would the truth that lay ahead shatter the fragile bond they had forged? As they approached the diner, the glow from stainless steel fixtures warmed an atmosphere filled with laughter and the scent of fried food. But for Alex, this was no ordinary place. Brightly lit from the inside, it felt like an oasis in a desert of uncertainty. Yet that cozy facade masked the brewing storm within him. Every fiber of his being recoiled at the thought of returning to moments that had long lingered as ghosts in his memory. That he nodded toward the entrance, attempting to mask the trepidation swelling in his throat. "Let us go in." But the hesitation hung between them, heavy like the dark clouds they had just escaped. Lily followed closely, her hand grazing the doorframe as they stepped inside. The chatter and clattering of plates enveloped them, and for a moment, the world outside faded. At a booth near the back, a group of young people echoed laughter that sounded foreign to Alex, sounding free, untethered to the struggles that marked his days. "Do you think they know what it's like?" he mused, almost to himself. Talking to Lily had opened parts of him he didn't know were there, and now a seed of curiosity sprouted. Did joy come easy to people, or was it a facade over their struggles? "They're just in their bubble, right?" Lily's response was simple but thoughtful. Everyone has their battles, even if they're not visible. Her perspective struck him, a reminder that bonds could form through shared misfortune, wherever he looked. He yearned to embrace that line of thought. They chose a booth but remained silent, both absorbing the newness of their surroundings. The waitress approached them, her notepad ready, but Alex's eyes drifted past her towards the diner's entrance. As he scanned the room, a shadow loomed, a familiar figure stepped through the door. Nerves twisted in his stomach as recognition hit. Marcus was more than just a shadow from his past, he was a symbol of everything Alex had fought against. A notorious figure entwined with betrayal and painful memories, and now here he was, carving a path toward them. "Stay with me," he whispered urgently to Lily, panic wrestling with his resolve. Once again, he felt the burden of protection weigh heavily upon him. He didn't want to spiral into the cycle of fear and anger that had once dictated his actions. He needed to stay composed for her sake. "What is it?" Her brow furrowed slightly, detecting his unease. "That guy, he asked, not just anyone. I know him from back when things went bad." The words came out heavy with the weight of a painful history that refused to fade. "We can't let him see us." As Marcus sauntered deeper into the diner, Alex felt his heart pound with an urgency that seemed almost primordial. Here lay a crossroads, a moment teetering precariously between panic and empowerment. He had a choice, to hide and cower like he always had, or to confront this lingering ghost directly. Lily's blind gaze was oddly comforting, silently urging him. It stirred dormant fire within him, transforming fear into an empowering determination. Even if a confrontation was inevitable, maybe this time could be different. Maybe this time he could stand firm. Once again, doubt crept in like an unwanted guest, whispering about the outcome of a potential confrontation. But in that instant, the weight of his past urged him forward. He would not let Marcus define who he was anymore. "Lily," he said, timing the rhythm of his heart with determination in his voice. "It's time to stand up for ourselves." With that realization, the plan formed quietly in his mind. He had faced adversity in varied forms, but nothing had prepared him for facing this figure from his past, this embodiment of failures and fears. However, he sensed it was crucial for both him and Lily to emerge stronger from this encounter. As he caught Marcus' eye across the room, a sense of rising strength coursed through him. Would he find the courage to confront his past, or would the weight of those memories pull him back into darkness? The adrenaline churned within him, urging him to take action, to redefine his narrative. His next move could either carve a new path forward or plunge him deep into the shadows once again. The moment of truth lay ahead. The clamor of the diner faded into the background as Alex's world narrowed to the figure moving toward him, Marcus, distant yet so achingly close. With every heartbeat, he felt the weight of the past pressing down on him, each memory sharper than the last. The laughter of the young people at the booth receded into an echo, a stark reminder of the life Alex had once yearned for but had long abandoned. Time stretched, and he could almost hear the ticking of his heart, pounding a desperate beat that urged him to act rather than retreat. He felt Lily's steady presence beside him, the warmth of her reassurance anchoring him as uncertainty twisted in his stomach. This wasn't just any moment. This was a reckoning. "Okay," he whispered, his voice laced with determination. "We need to move." With a focused will, he slid out of the booth, his body responding almost instinctively to the challenge ahead. For too long, he had allowed fear to dictate his actions, shrouding him in layers of regret and missed chances. This time, there was no turning back. As he stepped forward, the booth seemed to dim behind him, a former self that had cowered and hid. The intoxicating smell of frying bacon and coffee wafted through the air, not enough to drown out the sharp, acidic taste of anxiety still lingering on his tongue. He inhaled deeply, forcing his chest to expand, reminding himself that he controlled this moment. Marcus, now just a few feet away, turned slightly to his right, still unaware of the storm brewing within Alex. With every step, memories clawed at him, betrayals, words exchanged, the hollow laughter that once felt like home. He brushed them aside, channeling his anger into resolve, like adapting anger into a weapon of clarity. "Alex?" Lily's voice broke through the noise, a gentle reminder to keep his focus. He turned to her, saw the subtle encouragement in her eyes, and nodded. Together, they approached Marcus, the looming figure in his history. Alex could feel the collective energy of the diner hone in on him, a charged atmosphere that hinted at impending confrontation. "Marcus," he called, steady but firm. The name hung in the air between them like an accusation. Marcus turned, his casual demeanor faltering slightly as he registered Alex's presence. "Well, if it isn't the ghost of mistakes past." The words dripped with condescension, stoking the embers of Alex's frustration. "What's the matter? Lost something?" "No, but I'm here to take something back," Alex shot back. The urge to retreat bubbled beneath the surface, but he fought it, fanning the flames of his determination. This was at the time to reclaim his narrative, to unearth the courage he had buried for so long. Lily moved closer, standing shoulder to shoulder with him. The solidarity sparked a fire of resolve that surged through him. For the first time, instead of hiding behind her, he felt their connection strengthen his resolve. "You don't get to define me anymore," Alex declared, surprising even himself with the fierceness in his voice. "I'm done letting you control the story." Marcus's eyebrows lifted, amusement crossing his face. "Oh really? And what makes you think you've changed?" "People don't change, Alex. In the end, you will always be that scared kid trying to fit in." With those words, discontent surged in Alex, morphing into clarity. He realized that he had fought against those shadows constantly in his mind, but only now, standing tall before his nemesis, did he begin to understand the depth of his growth. Each misstep had forged him, reshaping his identity and sending echoes of doubt off into the void behind him. "No, I'm not just that scared kid anymore," he replied, his tone steady, resolute. "I'm someone who can walk calmly into the storm, someone who can finally stand their ground." For an instant, they locked eyes, two battles in stark contrast. One held a sword of lost opportunities while the other wielded the shield of fortitude and growth. Around them, life carried on, customers sipping coffee, forks scraping against plates, unaware of the confrontation unfolding. "Are you really ready for this?" Marcus challenged, sharpness threading his voice. "Do you actually believe you can walk away unharmed?" "I'm ready for whatever comes next," Alex answered, propelled by the tide of his burgeoning self-awareness. Yet, beneath the surface of this newfound strength, an unsettling realization throbbed within him: the confrontation was only the beginning. It wasn't just Marcus he was up against, it was the shadows of his past, the fragile echoes of doubt that stuck to him like glue. The challenge escalated as they stood on the threshold, but each passing second pushed Alex deeper into his veins of power. The tentative footing of weeks blurring into years had led him here, to this moment of truth. Suddenly, a voice pierced through the tension, a distant call from the diner's entrance, pulling Alex's attention. "Are you ready to face the repercussions of your choices?" His heart raced as a new figure materialized in the doorway, one that would define the next chapter of his journey. Shadows shifted again. Tension thickened. He had thought Marcus was the storm, but it seemed the real tempest was only just beginning to gather ominously on the horizon. In the moments that followed, the atmosphere shifted, palpable and electric. Alex focused on the doorway, where the newcomer paused before stepping inside the diner. It was a woman tall, with an air of authority that echoed through the room. Her confident stride captured attention, a quiet storm brewing behind her measured demeanor. The world around him fell away, and Marcus's derision lost its hold on Alex as the woman's gaze sharpened, resting on him like an arrow finding its target. The question she had posed earlier echoed in his mind, igniting a flicker of dread: "Are you ready to face the repercussions of your choices?" Just as Alex began to analyze his response, Marcus smirked, clearly unimpressed by the interruption. "Well, isn't this a surprise? Lost your nerve and had to call for backup? Who is this, your new emotional support animal?" His voice dripped with disdain. "Enough, Marcus," the woman cut in, her voice firm as she stepped closer. It was assertive, yet something about her felt familiar, almost like a mirror reflecting parts of his own burgeoning strength. As she approached, Alex noticed the lines on her face hinting at battles fought, echoing his own struggles and triumphs. "I'm Claire," she introduced herself, her eyes assessing him as if trying to piece together a relevant puzzle. "I've been looking for you." Alex blinked, confusion and curiosity colliding within him. "You've been looking for me?" he replied, the words slipping out before he could fully grasp their meaning. "Yes," Claire reaffirmed, unwavering in her resolve. "You don't know the impact your choices have had, not just on your life, but on many others. It's important that you understand that now." Her words sank in as Alex's mind began to whirl with possibilities. Familiar shadows lurked behind this new light, memories intertwined with hopes he had nearly forgotten. Was she here to offer him guidance, or simply to expose yet another layer of the chaos in his life? Did she know what had transpired with Marcus? "I'm not here to judge you, Alex," Claire continued, sensing his hesitation. "But I need you to know that this moment can be a catalyst for change, not just for yourself, but for others who are yet to have a voice." Her unwavering gaze tethered him to her message. Instinctively, he glanced at Lily, whose expression mirrored his internal struggle, wonder and uncertainty wrapped in determination. "That's what this is about, isn't it?" Marcus chimed in, his tone shifting now to mockery. "You're going to become some kind of hero, change the world one sad story at a time." Alex felt a light flickering in him, defiance rising like a tidal wave against Marcus's derision. "Enough!" he shouted, the word echoing throughout the diner, drawing attention to them again. "I didn't come here to play a role in your game, Marcus. I'm done being the pawn." The words felt like freedom, a release of pent-up tension he had carried for too long. The diner resumed its low hum around them, indifferent to the unfolding drama, but Alex noticed the eyes of curious strangers flicker towards him, some sympathetic, others skeptical. "Your past doesn't have to define you, Alex," Claire interjected, grounding him amidst the turmoil. "You have the power to rewrite your story. It's not about the mistakes, it's about how you choose to learn and grow from them." In her quiet strength, he felt the tremors of change shake loose something deep within, a recognition that the choice remained his, tangled in the emotions that danced just beneath the surface. Could he truly sever the ties that bound him to an identity forged in fear and uncertainty? Marcus shifted, a predatory grin crossing his face. "This isn't a fairy tale, Claire. You can't just sprinkle some words and expect everything to change." "Maybe not," Claire responded, her voice steady, "but I believe in the power of choice." Alex felt the spark of determination, thin strands weaving together to form a tapestry of purpose. "I need to understand what that means for me," he whispered, contemplative, yet resolute. But how could he defy the past and assert his identity against Marcus's taunts? What would it take to fully embrace the challenge of his own narrative? Claire's presence seemed to entwine with his intent, creating a momentum that swelled and pushed against the constraints he had felt for so long. The confrontation with Marcus wasn't just about reclaiming his own story, it could be a larger confrontation, one that might shape him into the person he hadn't just thought he could become, but truly wished to be. As he stood there, caught between two forces, a decision settled heavily in his mind. Would he choose to embrace this moment, take the risks it demanded, and let the repercussions drive him toward a new path? With the echoes of the diner swirling around him and both Marcus and Claire poised with unyielding expectations, Alex realized he was on the brink, ready to step into uncharted territory. But for all the drive and desire niggling at his core, he couldn't yet see the horizon. Yet what if the horizon beckoned him towards something more drastic, a revelation that could transform every choice he had made, potentially altering the very structure of his life? "Do you really think you can walk this path, Alex?" Claire's voice called gently, redirecting him back to the present, challenging his newly forged resolve. Before he could respond, a profound truth knocked at the door of his consciousness, whispering promises of change that he had never imagined he would be capable of. As the weight of expectation fused with hope, the air felt charged with possibility. "Maybe," he murmured, looking from Claire to Marcus, "but I believe it's time to find out." With that notion hanging in the air, tensions thickened further, fractals of whether he would embrace the unknown looming just beyond. The real storm was still gathering, and its emergence could shape everything life beyond confrontation, metamorphosis on the precipice of realization. United against his past yet thrust into an uncertain future, Alex steeled himself for what awaited beyond this moment. Claire's eyes narrowed slightly, recognizing the current that ran through Alex. It was a tension forged by overthinking, weighed down by a past riddled with mistakes he could not shake off easily. He felt the pulse of fear mingling with excitement, as doubt crept in insidiously, threatening to unravel the resolve that had just begun to bloom. "Show me," he finally uttered, his voice steady despite the chaos clamoring in his mind. "Show me what I need to do." Claire smiled, a flicker of genuine joy lighting her features, but in her expression, Alex caught the intrigue of someone who had walked a similar path. "It starts with understanding your story first. What do you want it to be?" "That's the problem," Alex replied, his voice laced with frustration. "I feel like every day has been a chapter filled with someone else's decisions. How do I write one that's truly mine?" "By accepting that today is the first page," Claire suggested, nodding approvingly as she moved closer. "Every day is an opportunity, Alex. What defines you isn't what you've done, it's how you choose to navigate the future ahead." The clarity in her voice wrapped around him like a reassuring embrace. Yet, the laughter from Marcus cut through the moment like cold steel. "Spare us the motivational speaker routine, will you?" He fall flat on his face, just like he always does. Anger bubbled to the surface in response to Marcus, and Alex felt a flicker of rebellion flare within him. Usually, he would have shrunk under the weight of that ridicule, but not this time. Now, every word Marcus threw at him felt like a rationale to push harder against the tide. His identity wasn't a cloak of shame, indifference was the choice he had made, and right then, he was ready to shed it. "Maybe I will stumble," Alex shot back, his voice carrying across the diner. "But every great journey starts with a leap of faith, even a blind one." Lily, who had remained a silent observer, was now leaning forward, her eyes shining with a blend of admiration and hope. "I believe you can find your way, Alex. You've always had it in you." Her words, combined with Claire's wisdom, instilled something new within him. At that moment, he realized it wasn't just about erasing the past. It was about reshaping it, taking those memories, both bitter and sweet, and weaving them into a narrative that articulated who he truly wanted to become. But still, doubt lingered. He faced Marcus, whose derision chipped at his resolve. "You think you're going to become some kind of hero? This isn't Hollywood, kid. What gives you that right?" Alex hesitated momentarily, grappling with the self-doubt Marcus cast like a shadow over his aspirations. Why was he suddenly obsessed with heroism? Was it the desire for acceptance, or was it merely an escape from his own failures? "What gives me that right," Alex finally began, gathering his thoughts, "is the choice I'm making right now to no longer be afraid of the unknown. I'm not just doing this for me, I'm doing it for everyone who thought they could never rise from their circumstances." Claire's approving nod reinforced his conviction. "Exactly, Alex," she said. "Change begins within and radiates outward. Own your narrative." Something within him ignited. He saw a flicker of possibility, a chance to be more than a reflection of his past. The weight of his insecurities began to lift, replaced by an intrepid resolve that surged through his veins. "I'm ready to take control," he said firmly, turning his back on the noise Marcus created. "Let us write this next chapter together." Claire stepped aside, drawing an invisible line between him and Marcus. The air thickened, charged with unanticipated tension as Alex took a step forward. He glanced at Marcus, determination written on his face. "Good luck, Alex," Marcus smirked. "You'll need it." "I'm done needing luck," Alex retorted, feeling the ground firm beneath his feet. Before he could fully comprehend the implications of his words, a vision of a larger purpose began to crystallize in his mind. A quiet sense of confidence settled. He could redefine not only himself, but also his impact on the world around him. Yet just as triumph began to seep into his bones, a shadow darted across the diner's entrance. A figure that seemed to pulse with urgency captured his attention. Could this be another ripple in the tide? Alex, Claire interrupted his thoughts as she noticed his distraction. Focus on this moment, on your intent. But the new presence held something more, an unanswered question, a knot forming in the pit of his stomach. Was this the moment that would catapult him into uncharted waters, demanding more from him, challenging everything he thought he knew? Now, with both Claire's encouragement and Marcus's taunts echoing in the background, Alex grappled with what lay ahead, the potential for transformation fused with uncertainty. As the diner buzzed around him, he realized the horizon was closer than he believed, shifting and swirling with the gravity of his decisions. The sense of urgency and pulse of excitement melded together, propelling him into action. But was he truly ready for the storm that approached, a convergence that could reshape everything he thought he could control? Alex. Claire's voice rose above the din once more, grounding him against the coming tide. What will your next step be? With eyes shifting between the past and the looming unknown, Alex's heart raced. How far was he willing to go, and at what cost? The flicker of courage that had ignited within him now felt both thrilling and terrifying. Would he dare to confront the challenges waiting just beyond the threshold? A new chapter awaited, one that demanded not just bravery but an unwavering commitment to the truth he was about to uncover. As he stood resolute, waiting for the winds of change, the next phase of his journey loomed immense and exhilarating. The door swung open with a creak that sliced through the chatter in the diner, drawing every gaze toward the new arrival. A figure shrouded in shadows stepped inside, the warm glow of the overhead lights illuminating only part of their face. A young woman, her eyes wide with urgency yet full of an indomitable spirit that captured Alex's attention instantly. For a short moment, the world around him faded. Alex's mind raced, instinctively reaching for the implications of this unexpected intrusion. Was it fate? Or just another temptation that could derail his desires? He could feel the stirring of something deep within, a pressing need to act, to respond. Hey! Claire's voice pierced through the tension. What's wrong? As the newcomer approached the counter, Alex's heart began to beat rapidly, not out of fear, but urgency. What lay behind her troubled gaze? It was as if she was a thread in the fabric of his changing story, one he needed to unravel. He realized that the circumstances woven into this moment could offer him a chance to truly embrace the next phase of his journey. I need help, the woman stammered, her voice catching slightly as she faced Claire. It's about my sister. She's missing, and I don't know where to turn. Alex's instincts kicked in. He felt the familiar swell of empathy that had always driven him in times of crisis. It was the same impulse that had kept him afloat when he faced his own demons. He stepped forward, immediately drawn to the palpable desperation in her eyes. I'm Alex, he offered, closing the distance between them. What happened? Her breath hitched slightly as she took in his earnest gaze. Her name is Mia. She didn't come home last night. She's only 17, and I'm scared something has happened. Doubt flared within him. Was he really equipped to take on such weighty matters? His heart thudded loudly in his chest, questioning whether he had the capacity for this. But lurking behind that doubt was a powerful realization. It was time to confront the world outside himself, to step into a role that mattered. Mia, do you know where she might have gone? He pressed, grounding himself in the moment, pushing away the lingering shadows of uncertainty. She was meeting friends after school, the woman replied, tears beginning to spill down her cheeks. But she normally texts me when she's out. It's so unlike her. The urgency in her voice rekindled Alex's sense of purpose. This wasn't just an appeal for help, it was a call to action that resonated deeply within him. He sensed that if he could channel his fears into something tangible, something real, it could transform not just his life, but the lives of others too. I can help you find her, he declared, a surprising confidence washing over him. Let's take a closer look at where she might be. Claire, watching the exchange unfold, stepped beside him, her demeanor shifting from mentor to ally. We'll figure this out together, she affirmed, placing a comforting hand on the girl's shoulder. With renewed determination, Alex turned, mobilizing his thoughts. What if this was more than just another chapter in his story? What if it was an opportunity to demonstrate everything he had been building within himself to protect someone vulnerable? Just then, Marcus's voice rang out, dripping with skepticism. Good luck, hero. You really believe you can save the day? Who do you think you are? Alex clenched his jaw but made a conscious choice to ignore the taunt. Instead, he focused on the task ahead, wanting to shield the girl from doubt just as fiercely as he needed to shield himself. Pushing through the door with Claire and the young woman beside him, he stepped into a reality that thrummed with urgency. A cacophony of sounds engulfed them: the hum of the street, cars rushing by, voices of strangers. In that moment, Alex felt the sharp edge of reality pressing against him, rivaling the urgency of searching for Mia. But this was a moment of clarity amidst chaos. He was not just stepping out into the world for himself. He stood as a beacon for someone in need, ready to forge a new narrative that could very well change everything. What would he uncover as he ventured into an uncertain night? What complexities and challenges awaited him just beyond the door? As they began their search, the undercurrents of his internal struggle resurfaced. Could he fully commit to this new path without losing himself in the darkness that threatened to engulf him? The road ahead was unclear, but Alex was determined to unveil the truths waiting in the shadows, even if it meant confronting his own fears. As they approached the unknown, tensions mounted. Would this mission galvanize his resolve or plunge him back into doubt? The night loomed ahead, filled with both peril and possibility, and Alex was ready, even as the stakes of the journey threatened to escalate in every direction. The chill in the air wrapped around Alex as he stepped into the street, the urgency of the situation weighing heavily on his shoulders. The young woman had offered only fleeting information, flickering like the neon lights above them. Mia's disappearance was not just an anxious request for help, it was an invitation for Alex to confront what lay dormant within him. Claire fell into step beside him, her expression a mixture of determination and concern. We need to start at her school. If she was meeting friends, maybe someone there has seen her, she suggested, her tone brisk yet comforting. The thought of actual action made Alex feel alive, yet the responsibility that came with it felt overwhelming. He was not the hero Marcus insinuated he could be. What if he couldn't find Mia? What if he failed the very one who needed him? Those questions clawed at his mind as they reached the high school, a sprawling building that felt more imposing at night. As they approached the entrance, Claire turned to the young woman, whose name was becoming familiar in their shared crisis. What can you tell us about Mia's friends? Do you know if they usually hang out somewhere after school? The girl hesitated, then nodded. Yeah, at a little cafe a few blocks from here. It's where they go after classes. An edge of hope ignited in her voice, even as her eyes shimmered with fear. Every step felt monumental as they made their way to the cafe. The streets were buzzing with life ahead of them, yet Alex felt a disconnect, an awareness that he was at the precipice of something transformative. Could this drive to help someone else be the catalyst needed to reshape his own insecurities? Walking through the cafe's doors felt like stepping into another world. The ambient noise of chatter bounced off the walls, but as they scanned the room, he noted the absence of Mia's bright smile, her laughter that might have bridged gaps between friends. All he felt was the weight of urgency pressing against him. Let us divide and conquer, Claire suggested with an air of authority that brought him to attention. Alex, ask the barista if they've seen her. I'll talk to a few of the patrons. Guided by instinct, Alex approached the counter, the smell of coffee and pastries swirling around him. Excuse me, he started, his voice steady yet edged with anxiety. Have you seen a girl named Mia? She's been missing. And the barista's features shifted from indifference to concern, and he shook his head slowly. Sorry, man. I haven't seen her today. Deflated, Alex stepped away from the counter, frustration bubbling beneath his skin. Was he really prepared for this? What if all his efforts were in vain? Each unanswered question turned his hope into a flicker of doubt. Roaring in the silence, further across the cafe, he spotted Claire deep in conversation with a couple of young women who were frantically scrolling through their phones. But nothing seemed to yield the information they sought. The sense of helplessness began to gnaw at him again, but he forced himself to stay grounded. Wasn't this precisely why he had stepped out of his own shadows to fight against despair rather than succumb to it? "I'm fine," he muttered under his breath, though it felt less like reassurance and more like questioning. Suddenly, he remembered the way his own worries had once felt so weighty, yet now, faced with someone else's plight, he was being called to rise beyond those limitations, even if only for tonight. As they regrouped, Claire's brows furrowed with concern. "We need to keep searching. Let us check the parks nearby, maybe Mia went there." Alex swallowed hard, the familiar taste of fear creeping back. The idea of parks loomed darkly, they had a way of concealing truths. However, overriding that apprehension was a burgeoning resolve to continue, to embrace the messiness of this search. Just then, as they turned to leave, an older gentleman in a worn-out coat caught Alex's eye. His gaze centered on the girl, an undeniable spark of recognition dancing across his features. "Excuse me, sir. Have you seen Mia?" Alex rushed toward him, hope mingling with anxiety. The man hesitated, but then his eyes softened as if retrieving a memory buried under layers of life experience. "Maybe she was walking with a couple of her friends, heading toward the old library. You might still catch them." The words electrified Alex, igniting a new urgency in his chest. Was it truly possible they were close? With a quick exchange of nods, they turned on their heels, racing toward the old library, hearts pounding not just with fear, but with the hope of finding Mia. In that moment, clarity emerged. Perhaps this search was not merely about helping someone else or battling his inner demons. It was a revelation of his own strength, nudging him toward realizing he had the power to affect lives, his own included. As they rushed down the dimly lit street toward the library, excitement surged through him, clashing against the daunting uncertainties looming ahead. What awaited them behind the library doors? Would uncertain truths emerge that would challenge Alex's newfound sense of purpose, or would they illuminate the path he was beginning to claim? Each step brought him closer to the answer, the thrill of the chase deepening with every heartbeat. The old library loomed at the end of the street, its silhouette stark against the deepening twilight. As they turned the corner, Alex felt an electrifying mix of determination and trepidation surge through him. The weight of responsibility pressed against his chest, yet a flicker of self-assurance began to ignite within him, fueled by the urgency of finding Mia. Claire's pace matched his, both of them driven by the growing realization that time mattered. Yet, as they reached the large wooden doors, a sudden rush of doubt crashed over him. What if he didn't know what to do once they arrived? What if Mia was truly lost, caught in a place where he didn't have the courage to tread? Steering those thoughts away, Alex pushed the door open, its creaking echoing like the beginnings of a new chapter. Inside, the familiar scent of aged paper and wood enveloped him, yet the usual comfort was overshadowed by the gravitas of the mission at hand. The library was shrouded in shadows, the only illumination coming from a few flickering overhead lights. He could see a few patrons sprawled over tables, lost in their own worlds of literature, yet none bore the semblance of Mia. "Let us split up," Claire suggested, her voice a steadying force amidst his whirlpool of anxieties. "I'll check the upper levels. You take the basement." Alex hesitated. The basement felt like a literal descent into unknown depths, a space filled with musty silence that could reflect his own fears. But the moment they exchanged nods, he knew there was no room for retreat. Making his way down the narrow staircase, Alex's heart pounded a relentless beat, thrumming in time with his rising uncertainty. The basement was darker than he anticipated, a vast expanse barely lit by a few dim bulbs overhead. Each corner felt like a new uncertainty, shadows stretching across the room, threatening to swallow him in their grasp. He focused his breath, trying to find equilibrium. With each step, he reviewed the skills he had unconsciously developed over the years, his ability to listen keenly, to observe body language, to read between the lines. Each skill wasn't just relevant for finding Mia, they were essential tools for navigating through life's unpredictability. "Get it together," he muttered, forcing his voice to remain steady. "You've done tough things before." But would this be the turning point he was chasing? Would this moment forge his identity beyond the confines of self-doubt? He questioned himself as he approached shelves lined with books, a sanctuary of stories interwoven with secrets, perhaps even Mia's. Suddenly, he heard a faint noise reverberating from the far end of the room. His instincts flared. It could be Mia, or maybe one of her friends. Taking a deep breath, he moved toward the source, each step laden with the gravity of his purpose. He rounded a shelf, heart racing. A small group of teenagers huddled together, laughter bubbling between them, their familiarity evident. But it wasn't Mia. Alex felt a pang of disappointment slice through the urgency coursing through him. They were engrossed in their own world, unaware of the lives intertwined in precarious situations just outside their bubble of comfort. Before he could turn away, one of the girls caught his eye. Lip-biting tension played on her features, and the brightness from earlier faded. What if she had insights about Mia? The hesitation in him battled against the vocal prompts urging him to speak up. "Excuse me," he said, his voice wavering slightly. "I'm looking for Mia. She's been missing. Did she say anything to you?" For a moment, the girl stared at him as if processing his words. Then, slowly, her eyes shifted. "She mentioned needing to grab books for a project. I thought she'd be here for a while. Do you know if she left with someone?" He pressed, a sense of urgency creeping back into his voice. The girl didn't answer immediately. Instead, her eyes darted to her friends, caught in an unspoken conversation. Alex's heart raced, each moment stretching infinitely. Would this exchange yield clues that led him closer to Mia? Or was he destined to falter at crucial junctures, like so many times before? He couldn't let his past define this moment. As they shifted, light flickered across the girls' faces, revealing true concern. "We saw her earlier. She was upset, but she left with someone she trusted. I thought it was her friend Hannah." The revelation threw Alex back, the ground beneath him suddenly churning with newfound intensity. Hannah had always been a loyal confidant, but who knew Mia's anxiety might lead to uncharted waters? Did they say where they were going? He needed clearer answers. No, but they were looking for a quiet place, possibly the old park nearby. With that, the thread of hope in Alex's chest began to swell, intertwining with the electricity of purpose that coursed through him. Every moment brought newfound clarity. This wasn't merely about Mia, it was about how he would react, how he would push through every doubt to ensure every lead mattered. "Thank you," he breathed, determination solidifying in his core. As he turned to leave, he realized this journey wasn't just filling a void, it was weaving a tapestry of who he wanted to become. The darkness might obscure paths, but his resolve lit the way forward. With rapid feet, he ascended the stairs, a clearer direction forming in his mind. The densest shadows could not debilitate his drive. It was time to confront the park's uncertain darkness. The thought hung heavy in the air. Would Mia be waiting for him, or would he face the reality of the unknown? Each beat of his heart echoed the urgency of the chase, compelling him forward. There was a moment before a revelation could be unveiled. Would he turn into the hero of his own story, or would the next step reveal something darker yet unmasked? As Alex burst out of the library, his mind buzzed with determination. The shadows surrounding him felt less daunting with every step, invigorating his spirit. His relentless pursuit of Mia galvanized him. This was not just about searching for her, it was a defining moment in claiming his identity. The park ahead stood silently, yet it enveloped his thoughts with possibilities, igniting the fire of resolve that had been dormant. Claire and the young woman followed closely, their shared urgency palpable. As they raced toward the park, Alex reflected on how much he had transformed during this short yet impactful evening. No longer merely a bystander in his own story, he was stepping boldly into the role of a protector. Each choice led him out of the shadows of his past, pushing him to confront both the external chaos of the world and the internal uncertainties that had once defined him. "Alex, look!" Claire called, pointing toward the far edge of the park, where a flickering light glimmered through the dark trees. A surge of adrenaline coursed through him as he sprinted toward it, hope mixing with trepidation. Was that a sign of life, a way of bridging the gulf that had once seemed insurmountable? As they approached, a figure emerged from the shadows. Mia, her expression a mixture of frazzled distress and relief. Her friends surrounded her, whispering urgently, and for a moment, Alex felt a rush of elation so powerful it almost took his breath away. Triumph surged through him, making every harsh circumstance of the earlier hours seem worth enduring. "Mia!" Alex yelled, sprinting toward her, his heart pounding in harmony with his newfound sense of purpose. The warmth in his voice reflected the light burning brightly within, a beacon guiding her home when the world felt lost. As they met, Mia turned, surprise blossoming in her eyes, but beneath that was an assurance as if she could sense the radiance of the moment. "You're okay." Mia's voice shook, but relief washed over her face. "I found you," Alex exclaimed, catching her gaze as he absorbed the depth of their connection, recognizing it as more than just friendship. It was a shared understanding of struggle and redemption. Life's challenges shaped their paths more intricately than they realized. Claire stepped forward, joining them. "We were worried." "What happened?" As Mia explained how she had gotten upset and left with her friend Hannah to find solace in the familiar park setting, Alex felt the ease of worry dissipating, replaced by newfound clarity and respect for her bravery. Through her struggle, he recognized his own. This profound connection anchored them both against the tides of chaos. They stepped away from the shadows that had once loomed heavy and towards the warm glow of something profoundly fulfilling. "Thank you for coming," Mia said softly, her gratitude echoing the words he had struggled to convey for so long. "I didn't think anyone would come looking for me." "I'm glad I could help," Alex replied, his voice steady. "I realized something. It's all about connections." In the unfolding moments, cracks of light refracted through their shared experience. With Mia safe and unharmed, Alex felt the weight of his identity shifting. He had ventured into the depths of fear, yet emerged as someone capable, resilient and aware of his inherent value. As they made their way back to the safety of the street, he could feel the transformation settling within him. Solid confidence replaced the insecurities that had once haunted his mind. "Alex, you did it." Claire beamed, recognizing the shift in his demeanor. "This was a huge leap for you." "I didn't just help Mia," he replied, a smile breaking through. "I found out I can be a part of something bigger than myself." Before they reached the main street, the urgent strife and struggles that had haunted him began to fade into the past. The confidence that coursed through him was no longer flickering, it was now a steadfast flame ready to burn brightly under any circumstances. As Mia turned toward him once more, the gratitude in her eyes mirrored his understanding of the purpose he had discovered. "You're a true friend, Alex," she said, her voice filled with sincerity. In that moment, Alex fully embraced his place in the world. The realization that he had fought through personal shadows, emerged victorious, and fulfilled the promise of his potential. Now, as he stood beneath a vibrant skyline, emboldened by the journey he had undertaken, Alex concluded with resolute clarity. This experience was not just a fleeting moment, it was the beginning of a new chapter that resonated far beyond personal narratives. It was about who he would become and what they could accomplish together. Each step forward now held significance. Every decision carved a path toward identity and purpose. Subscribe immediately to the channel to not miss the next exclusive emotional stories. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm. Comment your reactions and theories about the ending. Share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this conclusion. This is the moment to show your support. Only true fans of personal overcoming stories understand the importance of supporting the channel through these actions. Don't wait even one more second to share.